Senate Democrats have introduced a bill that will shut down firearms websites like Arms List. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think the federal government needs to stop infringing on our Second Amendment rights, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to one of the main sponsors of the channel, and that is Route 66 Shooting Sports Park in San Bernardino. If you came out to the recent Armed in May event, you know how amazing that range is and how amazing the staff is. So if you're in the LA area, in the Southern California area, I highly recommend you check them out. And thank you again, Route 66, for supporting this channel. I also want to let you know that this content is powered by the Firearms Policy Coalition. So if you want to join the Second Amendment fight, head on over to joinfbc.org. Thank you again, Firearms Policy Coalition, for supporting this channel. So like I said in the intro, Senate Democrats are now seeking to be able to shut down online firearms transactions by attacking online stores. So just a few days ago, Arms List filed a lawsuit against Facebook and Instagram over them being deplatformed. Well, now you have Senators Dianne Feinstein, Richard Blumenthal, Sheldon Whitehouse, who have all introduced a new bill that attacks these online stores like Arms List. This proposed bill is the Accountability for Online Firearms Marketplace Act, which has been filed and proposed in joint by all these members that I have just mentioned. This bill seeks to ensure that websites like Arms List and others no longer enjoy immunity under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, and so that lawsuits can be brought against them and that they can be held accountable for actions they had nothing to do with and hold them liable for third-party torts and criminal activity as well. When you go to Dianne Feinstein's website on her proposal of this bill, it states that the largest firearms marketplace is Arms List, the so-called Craigslist for guns, which describes itself as the largest free gun classified on the web. Online gun marketplaces like Arms List can evade basic background check laws by allowing unlicensed sellers to sell guns to anyone without a background check, no questions asked. And we'll talk about that a little bit later because, of course, that is a misstatement. It goes on to state that as a result of lax standards, Arms List and its competitors have become rife with illegal and dangerous gun sales. Unlicensed sellers comprise as many as 3 in 4 sellers on the Arms List alone. So as you can see here, the language that has been issued in the press release is heavy against Arms List, especially because there have been lawsuits that have been engaged with Arms List in the past, which Arms List has won. Now you have Dianne Feinstein and her cohorts in the Senate putting together this proposed bill attacking Arms List specifically and others as well. And again, this is coming off the heels of Arms List recently filing a lawsuit against Facebook and Instagram. Dianne Feinstein in her press release goes on to state that the Accountability for Online Firearms Marketplaces Act would clarify Section 230 to ensure that the law's blanket liability shield does not apply to online firearms marketplaces. So that's what they're all after, is removing the immunity and protections that these types of online marketplaces have under federal law. But let's take a look at Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which this whole thing surrounds around, and also a lawsuit as well that Arms List won when they were sued for something very similar. So Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act added protections for online service providers and users from actions against them based on third-party content. This section states in part that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. So what does that mean? Well, effectively, this section gives immunity to companies from liability for torts that others commit on their websites or online forums, even if the provider themselves fails to take action after receiving notice of the harmful or offensive content. So essentially, these website providers are not liable for third-party criminal activity. Now, what's important in the context of this bill that is being introduced is a prior incident and a case that was actually litigated in Wisconsin. So in 2012, an individual purchased a pistol and some magazines from another individual off of Arms List. The issue is that the purchaser actually had a restraining order against him that was placed and filed against him by his wife. Unfortunately, he later then used that firearm he purchased on Arms List and those magazines to actually murder his estranged wife along with some of her coworkers. Well, then as a result of that incident, the daughter who witnessed that incident filed a lawsuit against Arms List because her father was able to purchase those magazines as well as that firearm on Arms List, although he had a restraining order. And this case made its way up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, where that court dismissed the case, holding that Section 230 subsection C1 prohibits claims that treat Arms List, an interactive computer service provider, as the publisher or speaker of information posted by a third party on its website. And therefore, they dismissed the daughter's claims and barred it under the section 230 subsection C1. So effectively, they found that Arms List had immunity and protections under that section, and the daughter could not sue Arms List because of that interaction that happened on their website. So not only is there this federal law that provides immunity and protections, but there is pretty solid case law that also upholds that protection and immunity for websites like Arms List. Well, of course, the Senate Democrats do not like that. Feinstein states that it is time to start holding accountable those who turn a blind eye to illegal gun sales on their platforms. She stated that the only way to reduce the scourge of gun violence plaguing our communities is to close loopholes that allow prohibited people to obtain guns. Richard Blumenthal states that bestowing blanket immunity on websites for illegal gun sales mocks common sense and public safety. A website that enables such deadly arms transfer should not enjoy a shield from all accountability simply because they are online. According to Blumenthal, Section 230 was never intended to provide a sweeping free pass to such illicit lethal gun trafficking. He goes on to state that this bill will reverse the disastrous holding in Daniel v. Arms List and ensure that the online firearms marketplaces are held accountable for the gun deaths they bear responsibility for. Now, one important thing to note, which is of course left out by all these senators, is the fact that it is illegal in any state for someone to sell either through a private party transfer or something that goes through an FFL, but especially here through private party transfers, to sell a firearm to someone that you know is prohibited or is a felon. Otherwise, under various state laws, you can engage in private party transactions without a background check if you have no reason to believe that someone is a felon. That is because the firearm is your private property, you paid for it, you're in possession of it, and you can sell it to another individual if they are not a prohibited person or you have no reason to believe they're a prohibited person. In a lot of states, you do not have to go through a background check. However, there are other states like the state I'm in, the state of California, that requires even private party transactions to go through an FFL. You have to engage in a face-to-face transaction. So in some states, you do have to still go through an FFL even during private party transactions, but some states you don't. And so that was the situation there in Wisconsin, where it was sold by one individual to another individual. Private party transaction didn't have to go through a background check, but essentially here, there are other types of transactions that can take place on these websites that will go through an FFL. Again, if your state laws apply, it'll have to go through an FFL and your state laws will apply. So there is this blanket statement that, hey, all these transactions never happen with a background check. That's not true. That's not a true statement. They know it's not a true statement, but still it's used as a way to try to do some sort of backdoor gun control, because that's really what this is all about. It is a way to implement backdoor gun control. They're trying something very similar to here with trying to repeal the PLCAA, which we talked about. And the whole goal is so that they can go after gun manufacturers, thereby repealing the PLCAA. And here is just a way for them to try to go after these online websites that deal with firearms. So the repealing of the PLCAA attacks the manufacturers directly. Here, the repealing of this Section 230 would be a way to go after the online distributors themselves. So if you do not agree with what this bill is trying to do, I highly recommend you reach out to your local representatives. Let them know that this is just a way to implement backdoor gun control and restrict your access to firearms. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It helps to signal to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos, in this type of two-way news, and then it pushes it to more people. Thank you so much to everybody who's liked, commented, and subscribed, who's dropped emojis down in the comment section. That has really helped this channel to grow, has helped my videos reach more people, and we are marching really close to 200,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I had a goal to reach 150. You guys helped me reach that really fast, and now we are marching towards 200,000. So if you're a new subscriber, go ahead and comment down below that you're a new subscriber. And also, if you are someone who's lurked for a while and you just recently subscribed, make sure you comment down below that you're a new subscriber and I will make sure I comment back to you. So thank you everybody who subscribed, liked, and commented. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.